Welcome to Module 2 entitled Descriptive Statistics. In this module, we will be focusing primarily on quantitative data. The process of a statistical research study is the means of gathering, organizing, and analyzing data. The purpose of a statistical research study is to ultimately answer some question. And you may be thinking, well, I'm never going to do a statistical research study, but you will likely be asked to read a statistical research study in a professional journal or hear of one on the news, and you as an individual, will have to decide the validity of the researcher's answer to the question that's being asked. So knowing how to design a good research study will help you in that particular decision-making process. In this module, we'll focus on the organization and analyzation of data. And the steps in the statistical research process. There are 5 lessons, and at the end of the module, you will be able to interpret information presented graphically, calculate measures of central tendency, measures of variation, or measures of position, and also interpret those measures and use technology appropriately. Let's look at the steps involved in the statistical research process. Step 1 is to state the question clearly with as much detail as possible. Those details help to give context to the statistical study, and you want to think about, as you're stating the question, the 5 W's: who, where, what, when, and why. Step 2, you want to identify the variable that's going to be studied, the population, which is your big picture focus, the sample, and the sampling method. So you want to think about what type of variable is being used, because remember, that helps to identify what type of statistical analyses you can and cannot do. You also want to ensure that your sample is random and representative of the population. Ideally, if it's possible and feasible, we'd like to have a sample that is at least 5% of the population. Sometimes that is not feasible, and so we use kind of the rule that a small sample is any group less than 30, and a large sample is any group of 30 or more. Step 3, you go out and you collect the data. That could be conducting a survey. It could be looking at reports. This is called the raw data, and it's simply a list of your responses to the variable. Step 4 is you organize the data, and we're going to focus on that in Lesson 1 of Module 2. And then step 5 is to actually analyze the data so that you can ultimately answer the research question. And we'll focus on the different analyses in Lessons 2, 3, and 4. And then in Lesson 5, we kind of switch gears and we'll begin looking at one of the most important probability distributions that is used throughout statistics.